Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final part for the first week. So we talk about scoring models. I like weighted scoring models the best because we know, now if you needed a scoring model and can't weight it, that's fine, use it. But a weighted scoring model lets me say, you know what, I know not everything is equal. So maybe I'm buying a software and not everything I need in the software is based on quality. Sometimes it's based on reputation, etc., right? I can weight those and make sure I'm getting the right product for the money, right? So an unweighted model is going to look at each item, rate the score, and then total them up. It allows me to use multiple criteria, which is great. But as I mentioned, not all criteria are equal. Here's what a weighted model might look like from the book, right? You can see figure 2-2, review that in the book. So in unweighted factor scoring model, I can replace those X's on the previous slide with a factor score, typically from 1 to 5, and I can multiply those across and still just add them up. And so each factor is weighted the same. It's easy to compute, yes, and it just totals or averages the scores as you need. Now, weighted approach, as I said, much better approach in my mind, if you can take time to do that. And it's a good way to include non-numeric data because you may weight that differently, but you're still able to include it in your scoring model, right? And so if there are differences in the weights and they're small, it's not meaningful, right? You still get a pretty good direction to go in. This is an example of a weighted factor model example. And you can see that that appearance is weighted at 10%, that the ranking of the alternatives at 7%, that operating cost is at 12%, etc. And you can total up these weighted scores and come up with numbers that then you can make a solid comparison about. And like anything, there are advantages and disadvantages. This allows us to use multiple criteria. It's easy to structure. I have them in Excel and use them even for my job selection criteria. So you can use them a lot. They're easily altered so that you can, even if you use it on future projects, you can see where you started from and where you're going. It's just great. Now, the disadvantages is that it's kind of linear in form, and you can have a large number of criteria. I've never found that to be a problem, but it's true. And so you want to be cautious of that, right? Now, in numeric models, there are also windows of opportunity analysis. So this is a process where cost, time, and performance specs are defined that must be met before any R&D work can be accomplished. So you also have discovery-driven planning, and that can be challenging enough. I don't see that used very often. Then you want to choose a project selection model along the way that is going to give you, now we've given you lots of opportunities or options to choose from, both weighted and non-weighted. You want to choose that project selection model along the way. And in doing so, you want to make sure you assess risk considerations, because all of this is about minimizing the risk and maximizing the potential value that you want to create and the success that should come with it, right? Cost can be a risk, other benefits, the uncertainty, the timing, etc. If I'm going to build a house in South Carolina and I want to start in August, the risk of a hurricane is very, very high, right? So we want to ascertain those along the way. I don't have to do this alone, though. Most companies will provide a PMO, a project management office, and they will even have a portfolio management in there, a project portfolio management, PPM. which is going to link your project through the PMO to a portfolio of resources, activities, and other things along the way. And it's going to provide a way of helping you monitor and control your projects, which is really the goal to minimizing that risk. If a portfolio is not working well, these are some things that may indicate. Do you need more projects to fill out what you thought was going to be a single project or two? Is there inconsistency, right? Are projects competing rather than supporting, etc.? Did you do risk analysis, or are you tracking the current status? All of these which are topics in future weeks in this course. So the purpose of the project portfolio process, we want to identify what's not a project, right? That's operations. We want to prioritize our list of projects. Not all projects are the same value to the corporate strategy. You want to limit the number of projects, right? Achieve what you can achieve, but make sure you can achieve it, right? So we want to limit it so we can focus on it. And then make sure they're a good fit, and that would be tied to corporate strategy, and that they're supporting each other, these various projects. Because a really good project portfolio is going to eliminate the risky projects, right? Because this whole effort is about reducing risk of failure, right? So we want to keep from overloading the organization and balance the resources and returns that we are expecting to achieve. There are some more items here for portfolio process steps along the way, which close out the lesson this week. These 8 steps are steps you can use in a project portfolio process. So you want to pause and review it. And the next few slides just summarize those along the way. Okay? And that really does wrap up what is the end of week 1. Okay? The final thought in the last 2 slides, project bids and requests for proposals, or RFPs. So not everything you do in a project can you build yourself. Not everything is in-house. Sometimes you have to go outside the organization to make sure you get the right resource, people or equipment, or structures, etc., at the right time when you need it to make your project schedule work, right? And so you want to use the bid or RFP process. You will, as the project manager, work with a procurement manager who you are wholly responsible for the project. We established that in chapter 1. But the procurement manager is responsible on behalf of the company for legal reasons for committing funds. So you want to make sure that procurement manager and their team understand your scope. Do not just give it to them and leave them alone. Stay with them. Go to the meetings. Be in the negotiations, because this is your responsibility, right? And they are only doing their job. They'll do it to the best of their ability, I have no doubt, but it's your project, okay? And that's how that would work together. So in the end, then we have a project proposal that should come down to us as a business case with a cover letter and executive summary. What's the technical approach? What's our implementation plan? And is there any past experience? Okay, that was great. I loved it. Enjoy the reading. I look forward to seeing you online.